Mental toughness is what allows you to keep going when the road gets rough, when challenges occur, when things aren't quite going the way you want them to go. It's about being able to keep going regardless of the challenges, not in spite of them, but regardless of them. It is what allows you to be consistent in the face of adversity. And that's what we're talking about today. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. I'm so excited that you're here to join me for day number 35 in my 100-day walk to consistency. In this process, we are learning to be consistent. We are working on developing a new version of ourselves, a more consistent, a more confident version of ourselves, because consistency is the key to success. Hey, glad that you're here. Welcome, and let's see you on the walk. Let's get going. So what is mental toughness? Mental toughness is the resilient determination and grit to keep going when things aren't going quite your way. It's what allows us to be successful in the ability to be consistent. It is what will put some traction in your walk, in your journey. As we're walking through this 100 days of consistency, remember that there are going to be some times when you're going to get up and you're not going to feel like walking. You're going to wake up and you're going to be like, well, do I have to do it today? Something is going to happen that will try you, that will test you, that will require that you have something other than just a wish to be better, a wish to be consistent. And that is what mental toughness is. That's the thing that gives you gumption. It's that grit, it's the inner part of you that says, no, I'm not going out like that. And the thing that makes some people successful is not that they have been able to necessarily do all the things that they want perfectly, or to have everything go exactly like they had planned, even when they've created those SMART goals. But what helps people to be successful is that they have this inner toughness that says, I've created a structure, I've created these goals, I've chunked them, I've created my support system around me, and now I'm having a challenge. And in the midst of this challenge, I'm not giving up. You get that? So not that the challenge didn't come, but that they've decided, because of this inner strength, that they're not giving up, that they're not allowing that to stop them, not allowing that to be the thing that drives them off course. And so that is what mental toughness is. That is the definition. I want you to think about it. It is not about avoiding challenges. It's not about having things go perfectly and things not being in the direction or being the way that you want them to be. It's about being able to go despite the fact that these things can happen, and despite the fact that it does happen, because life happens. And if we are not careful, sometimes we will allow those things that happen in life to derail us and set us back, when all we've got to do, and I say all, but it really is not all, but it is one of the things that we have to do. We've got to be able to develop that, okay? So mental toughness, very important in how we set ourselves up for success. Because if we can do that, then hey, things aren't perfect, but it's much more likely that we will be successful. You guys see me looking down because I'm walking here next to, there's a pond, and there's some ducks, and they have really done a job over here. Okay? All right. So that's what mental toughness is. So then, why is mental toughness important? You'll hear them kind of talking over here. I guess they're not ducks, they're mallards. Let me see if I can show you guys. Let's see. Let's do it this way. Okay, there you go. There's some of them. Can you see? Anyway, so this is where I am, and once again, I'm on the campus of my alma mater, Oakwood University. I live nearby, and so I come out here and I walk, and you guys have seen me do this before. We'll kind of spend probably the next couple of days doing some walking around here in different parts of the campus. We started out right by the church just a minute ago. So why mental toughness matters? Well, mental toughness matters because it's essential that we know that life comes with challenges. I'll tell you, for one of the things that really changed my life was when I realized that idea. Well, I shouldn't say I realized that idea, but I accepted and grasped that idea and said, okay, yeah, it is what it is. Because I'll tell you honestly, I really wanted life to not be like that. Because I thought, man, I'm doing everything everybody tells me. I went to school, I got good grades, I basically stayed out of trouble, so basically. And so now things should be just happening the way it's supposed to happen. But life happens. And even if you've done everything perfectly, life is going to happen. And having this mental toughness helps you to be resilient and helps you to bounce back from that space, and not to be, I'm looking for the path down this road, and not to be derailed due to unexpected issues, because they're going to happen. So we expect the unexpected. And I think if we can do that, if we're able to understand that, it is a place that sets us up for success. So understanding mental toughness, understanding that life is going to happen, is why we need mental toughness. Because we're not going to be able to prepare for everything. We can do the best that we can. We do the best preparation, of course, but there are going to be some things that come that are going to challenge us. And so that's going to take us stepping out of the box, take us accepting that, okay, this was unexpected, but here it is, and I've got to deal with it. And the mental toughness allows you to be able to deal with that. It gives you the ability to push through, right? So when things happen, there are going to be some things that you're going to have to just, and I don't want to say put your head down, but we're going to have to barrel through, if that's the right term. And it's going to take some difficult conversations with ourselves. It's going to take us strengthening that inner coach. It's going to take us working on positive self-talk to push us through. And mental toughness helps us and allows us to do that. So how does mental toughness help with consistency? Here's the path I was looking for. How does mental toughness help with consistency? Well, number one, mental toughness keeps you focused on the big picture. Oh man, that one right there. It is so easy to get bogged down with the day-to-day parts of life that aren't quite going the way we want them to go. And you guys remember we did an episode where we talked about gratitude. But you can get bogged down if you are just paying attention to the different challenges that will come up, and they will come up. But mental toughness allows you to stay focused on the big picture because you've developed that grit that says, okay, it's going to come. I don't have to react to everything that happens that isn't quite the way I expected it to be. I can, and we'll talk about this in another point in just a little bit, but I can endure whatever this is because I know that this is not my goal. This is not where I'm staying. This is not where I'm heading. Once again, that visualization and the growth mindset that says, I can have more. I'm going to another place. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be more competent. I'm going to be consistent. I am that person. Okay? And I keep saying I'm going to be, but I am. Right? Remember the words that we say, So I am consistent. I am confident. I am whatever it is that you say that you want to be. Okay? So mental toughness allows us to stay focused on down there and not focus on the difficulty right here. Okay? Now, you're out there and you're saying, wait a minute, I thought we're focusing on the process. We are focusing on the process in that we are not so tied to the outcome that we are focusing there, and it becomes a detriment to us because we've not gotten there yet. It's taking longer than we expected, right? So all those things, right? The delayed gratification. So in that case, we're focusing right here because we want to know what the process is. How can I tweak the process to help me get better? But when we're talking about mental toughness, right? There are going to be things right here in the process that aren't where we want them to be, that aren't the way we designed them. And so in that case, what we got to do is we got to look to say, okay, well, this is not that it's okay, but this is not where I'm heading anyway. I'm heading down the road to that thing over there. That's my goal. And so I can keep my eye on that process. So it helps me focus on my goal. Mental toughness helps you bounce back faster. Yeah. There are going to be some things that cause us to pause. They're going to cause us to slow our step, that cause us to quote unquote get off track, as some people say. And mental toughness gives us the ability, it gives us the inner strength, the fortitude, if you will, to bounce back and to bounce back quicker. Otherwise, we wallow in self-pity. We spend time in why me? We spend time trying to fix whatever that is when we should really be moving beyond this. It happened. Yes, it happened. Is it what we wanted? No. Is it going to be like this forever? No. But we've got to move on. And if we're going to move on, then we have to have that mental toughness that says, okay, come on, let's do it. I think I told the story in one of these episodes about being in that master class when things didn't work out in one of the products that I was preparing and one of the products I created. And my coach basically said to me, okay, how long are we going to do this? How long are we going to be in this space? How long are we going to stay here and wallow essentially in self-pity? We could have been doing something else, right? There is this story that's told, and I'm not sure where it comes from, but a professor who had students, and he broke the students up into two groups. And one group, it's both groups, or the entire group, he gave them an assignment. They have to come up with some project. And one group could try the project or try different versions of the project, as many as they can before they turned in the initial one. But the other group had to research it, they have to design it, they had to talk about it, they had to write. So they couldn't try it, but they just were putting it together, and then finally they put one project together and they turned it in. And who do you think had a better project or a better result? It wasn't the people who had spent all their time researching and came up with a perfect product. It was the people who had tried it over and over and over and over and over again. Because implementation, right? Implementation is where the rubber meets the road. As you've heard me say, an idea on paper is just that. It's all idea on paper, right? Until action happens, it doesn't have any life. And so our goal is always to put life into the things that we do. So mental toughness helps us to bounce back. So we can't stay in that space. Let's get up. Let's do something else. Now that, I'm gonna tell you, that may fail also. It may not work. It may not get us where we need to be, but that's okay because we're not tied to this process. We are moving to the goal that's down the road. Okay, so mental toughness. That's why mental toughness fuels consistency. The other thing is that mental toughness builds confidence. When I know that I am heading in a direction, I can be confident that if this part here doesn't work, it's okay. I correct it, but I'm still heading down the road. If I have to pivot, it's okay, but I'm still heading down the road. If I had to change because I ran out of resources or resources didn't come where I needed them to be, that's okay because I'm heading down the road. If you wake up one morning and your back hurts or your leg hurts or you have a cold or you have whatever and you can't walk, this part of the process is okay because I'm heading to 100 days. All right, so you get back up and you start where you are. All right, so we're on day 35. That's okay. All right, so maybe you're a day behind, maybe you're a couple of days behind, maybe you're longer than that behind. But we get up and we move again. Right, so mental toughness allows us to do that. It allows us to be confident. Each time you push through, each time you're able to make it through, each time you say, no, I'm not going out like that. Each time you do that, then you are becoming more confident and you're becoming more resilient and you are becoming more consistent. All right, see how that works? And you remember that loop that we talked about? That confidence, consistency loop? Yep. There it is right there. All right, so how do we build mental toughness? Well, number one, we've got to learn to face challenges head on, right? One of the keys to building it is saying, I am going to face this thing head on. I'm not going to hide from it. I'm not going to dive into a different space. I'm going to contend with it. I'm going to confront it. And I'm putting all my resources to bear so that I can get through this, right? If you've had a setback on your routine, don't give up, right? If you've had a setback, instead of saying, okay, well, I'm gonna throw my hands up, say, okay, well, why am I having this? Why is this happening? What is going on, okay? If you have an issue with your relationship, if you're having some challenges with your finances, if you're having some challenges with wherever you find yourself, the question is, how do I stay in this space and how do I keep going? Because if I can do that, then that builds my confidence, it builds my consistency, it builds what I need to do to be successful, okay? So number one, you want to face challenges head on. Number two, you want to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Now, I've said this before, and I'm speaking to myself just as I'm talking to you, that at one point, I wanted things to go just the way it was supposed to go. Because I had done everything they told me. Right? I'd gone to school. I had been reasonable. I've got, all the things that I was told to do, I did. And I expected it to go. And so I wanted things to just be the way they are. But what I quickly learned is that life happens. And when life happens, I've got to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. It's a hard one, I'll tell you, because we're used to not putting ourselves in places that are not comfortable. We're used to numbing, we're used to buffering, we're used to resolving, well, not even resolving, we're used to getting out of that space quickly, right? So whenever anything happens, the goal is, okay, how do I move from here as quickly as possible? And sometimes we lose the message, we lose the lesson because we're so anxious to get out that we do anything to stop feeling that discomfort. And so mental toughness requires that there are going to be times when, yeah, we just got to face this. We got to take it head on. We can't do anything other than plow through this. And that is a hard one for lots of us, okay? Whether it's a physical discomfort, right, during exercise, mental discomfort while we're working on a project, working through a problem, working through a relationship. Some glass on the ground there. It requires us to be in that space. We talked about mindfulness. That's why mindfulness is important. Mindfulness says that I'm going to be here. I'm not going to numb. I'm not going to avoid. I'm going to be in this space feeling what I feel. I'm going to be in this space right now with all the feelings, with all the rawness, with all the frustration, with all the tears, with all the whatever other emotions come. I'm going to face it and I'm going to deal with it. Buffering says, okay, I'm going to avoid, I'm going to numb, I'm going to block, I'm going to something so that I don't have to feel it. The problem with buffering is that buffering doesn't solve the problem. Because after you've buffered, after you've eaten, after you have, after you've yelled, after you've done whatever the buffering behavior is, you still have to now come back and the problem is still there. So buffering does not solve the issue. It actually sometimes compounds it because, for example, in the space of eating, because I've buffered by eating, then my weight goes up, my blood sugar gets higher, my A1C is higher, and I set myself for all those metabolic diseases, okay? Number three, we want to practice patience and persistence. Practice patience and persistence. We talked about patience in one of our episodes. Patience says that, hey, things are not going to happen as quickly as I think. Right, I give the example of weight loss or that six-pack that I'm working on. Hey, it's not going to happen overnight. This 100 days didn't happen overnight, right? So we're on day 35. It took 35 days. We're going to 100, but it took 35 days to get here. And so I've got to practice patience. I've got to practice the art of waiting. And I've got to practice the art of persistence in the middle of frustration and in the middle of challenges, in the middle of obstacles. That, I know I keep coming back to that, but that is so key. And as I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself, right? Because it's in human nature. It's in human nature to say, I don't want that. I don't want the pain. I don't want the things that are associated with that. But patience and persistence are so key. So if you're working to a long-term goal and the progress seems to be not as quickly as you want it to be, then you want to say, okay, what is my goal? What is my why? How can I be present now for this, to feel where I am, to experience the process, right, while I'm heading to the goal, right? So all of those are things that we need to do. And then, of course, we talk about celebrating wins, right? Those milestones. Look at the milestones. Look at where you are now compared to where you were before. So be sure, the more you practice, the more you stick to it, the more you are saying, okay, I'm going for this, I'm sticking to it, the more resilient you become, the more confident you become, there's that cycle again, and the more consistent you become, right? So that's it right there. So that's how we build mental toughness. 1, face challenges head on. 2, confront those things. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. Practice patience and practice persistence. Yeah. So now you know we can't leave without a challenge, right? It's a challenge for the day. That's always what we do. So you ready? Make sure you grab your journal, and because all these we record.
Time 28 minutes 50 seconds. Total distance 1.0 miles. Average pace 28 minutes 49 seconds per mile. Split pace 28 minutes 49 seconds per mile.
So you heard my readout there. All right, so here we go. Here's the challenge. And let me turn this way. So, all right. So the challenge is this. And today we're working on strengthening your mental toughness. And so the first thing that we want to do is we want to think about a current challenge or an obstacle that you've had, right? Write it down. It could be something that you've avoided or something that's been difficult for you to overcome, right? Think of something, write it in your journal. Then you want to face the challenge. So commit to facing this challenge. You want to do it head on. Don't avoid it or make excuses. Take one concrete step towards confronting it. Remember, action is where the rubber meets the road. On paper, it's just on paper, but you got to take action if it's going to work, right? Whether it's addressing a problem at work or tackling a difficult task or dealing with a personal setback, whatever that is, right? Take some step in that direction. And then there are going to be some things that come up for you. Maybe some physical things, walking, exercising, getting healthy. There are going to be some mental things, some memories that you've got to deal with, some places that you don't want to go back to, some relationships that you don't want to deal with. There are going to be some emotional things. There are going to be some sadness. There's going to be some emotional pain. And you want to commit to dealing with that pain. You want to face that head on. You don't want to avoid that. Okay? You want to embrace the discomfort. Embrace the discomfort. And then you want to reflect and learn. Remember, everything that we do is a process. It's not set in stone. And we want to reflect and we want to adjust if we need to. That's why there has to be a mechanism that we've put in place that's going to help us to evaluate, to assess, and to make changes if we need to make those changes. So make sure that you're doing that. So one, look for something where you've had a challenge. So identify one challenge. You want to face that challenge to do something in that space that you're doing, facing it. You want to embrace being discomfort or uncomfortable, right? Use this as an opportunity to grow stronger. Every time you push through, every time you're persistent, every time you say, this is not going to throw me down, then we get stronger. And every time we do that, we set ourselves up for success. That's that loop that we keep talking about, the consistency, confidence loop. And the more you do that, the more comfortable you become and the more confident you are in the space that you find yourself, okay? And then you want to address any places where you're learning. We want to address any places that we need to change, any space that we need to pivot. All of those we want to make sure that we are looking at and we're making those corrections, okay? Because the process happens. The process is going to be what the process is going to be. And so as we are working to be consistent, we don't just want to do things blindly, right? We want to evaluate them and then correct and or make adjustments if we need to, because that's how we learn, that's how we grow, that's how we are sure that we're doing the things that we need to do to be consistent, okay? All right, well, having mental toughness is foundational to consistency, right? It gives power to the things that we're doing. And it's foundational for long-term success. So by facing challenges head on, by embracing discomfort, by practicing patience and persistence and perseverance, you build strength and you build confidence and you set yourself up for success. And that's what we're doing in this space, right? We are working on building a better version of ourselves, a version that's more consistent, a version that will allow us to be successful. I always say, and I want to say to you again, make sure that you are doing the challenges. Get in there and jump in and use them. right? Don't let the challenges just be something that you do, or don't let the videos, the episodes be something that you do, you listen to, and then it goes back on the shelf. The challenges are your way of implementing the things that we're learning. It is also your way of making sure that you understand the concepts that we're learning. Make sure you're also doing the workbook. Make sure you're doing the things, those pages, right? Because each one, there's an exercise that goes along with each of the videos. When you're done, you would have created a manual for success that you could take in the health space, right? So we're working on metabolism, we're working on improving our health, we're working on reversing our diabetes, we're working on getting more exercise, we're working on high blood pressure and polycystic ovarian syndrome and all those things. But all the things that we're learning, right? These are keystone ideas. Remember what keystone ideas are? These are the things that support everything else. And so when you're done, you will have a manual of keystone principles that you could then extrapolate and use in other spaces. I'm always happy that you are here with me as we build better versions, more consistent versions, more confident versions of ourselves. Thank you for joining me. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And we'll see you on day number 36. Have a good one.